2, 1. Hello, one and all, and welcome to the 8th episode of the Law Student Podcast. My name is Dean, and this week we're talking about what's like being a clerk and a grad at Ashurst. I'm honoured this week to be joined by Kate Le Pontois, HR consultant for graduate programs at Ashurst, and Sabrene Ben Dekhil, who is a current graduate at Ashurst. Welcome to the both of you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, Dean.
No, pleasure.
Yeah.
So Kate, if you could be so kind, could you perhaps give us a quick overview about yourself and your role at Ashurst?
Yep. Thank you for that. So hi everyone, my name is Kate. I'm the HR consultant at the Ashurst Brisbane office. I look after the early careers program, so the full life cycle from recruitment, like clerkship recruitment, all the way through to grad studied in the grad program and settling into their kind of forever specialised teams. So I am here for the early careers like paralegals, clerks, grads, and so if you're applying for a clerkship or a grad program, you'll probably hear from me in the Brisbane office. It's a really exciting role, really great to be a part of, students as they're commencing their law careers and really getting to help them and support them along their journey. So that's a bit about me.
Awesome. Well, Sabrene, some of our lovely listeners might recognise you from around campus back in the day. You're our 2020 president at Gulls and a 2020 graduate, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, mine was a bit weird. I did some summer electives, so I'm technically 2021 graduate.
There you go. Fun fact.
Fun fact.
So could you tell us a bit about yourself and your career so far?
Sure. Thanks, Dean. So, as you mentioned, I graduated from Griffith earlier this year, and I was president of Gulls last year, although it was a weird year to be president. In the end, and a lot to navigate through there. But I started it as a grad here in March. I did a clerkship at Ashurst in my penultimate year in November, December 2019. And then from that, I was fortunate enough to be offered a grad position here. And perhaps Kate might speak more on how, the clerk to grad cycle kind of works. So the graduate program here, though, is 12 months. We do 3 rotations of 4 months each. I've done my first rotation. I did it in energy, or what is now International Projects Group. And last week I started in my second rotation, which is transport and infrastructure. Yeah, so that's a bit about what I'm doing at the moment.
Very exciting.
Awesome.
2019, it seems like so long ago.
Right?
You were a seasonal clerk.
It was before
crazy.
COVID and
For everything.
COVID. Yeah.
It sounds like a long time ago to say 2019.
It does.
Especially 2020. That was like a 3-year long year, I think.
Yeah. Moved on from that. But
So to dive straight into it, I know when students go through the clerkship process, lots of firms like to talk about their culture and how they have such a great culture and how every single one apparently has the best culture. Even though statistically that probably isn't possible. Besides that, what do you obviously both work here day to day, what do you both think of the culture of the firm here?
Yeah, I'll go first, so I can take an easy one maybe. No. This is the first and only law firm I've worked at, so I can't compare it, and I never try to compare it to say we're better in this area than somewhere else, because that's just, I can't do that. But what I would say is the culture here is just a really friendly culture. People here work really hard and are really motivated, and it's quite inspiring to kind of work with those types of people, but at the same time they're equally just as friendly and want to like the people they work with and want to get along and have fun as well. I always like to think in my head, when I think about our culture, I think about our office managing partner Gabby Forbes, who's just like such a hard worker, so intelligent, so smart. She's office managing partner, but she has time for everyone. Like, she's always there to have a chat if you're a seasonal clerk or a paralegal or a partner. She's there for you. She wants to get to know people, build those relationships, and that's what she wants for everyone else as well. So I'd say, a really friendly culture, but at the same time, really hardworking, and people who really want to be successful and be kind of at the best in their career as well. So it's quite a good mix.
What do you think, Sabrene?
So just going off what Kate has said, I can confidently say that the culture here is one of the highlights and one of the firm's biggest strengths. And I know that everyone else here would say the same. Kate said it's really friendly, it's a warm environment, it's welcoming. There's always support around you from different levels, different teams, from everyone. So definitely highlight.
it's quite funny, isn't it, the balance between an extremely hardworking and also a really friendly person. It's like normally you don't think of those as two things that usually patch together very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
Try to find that in people.
Yeah, like that's your job, isn't it?
Yeah, it is my job. Well, I like to think I do a good job at it, but
yeah, we'll see how we go.
Clearly. But yeah.
Basically, Ashurst is regarded as a top tier firm in Australia and across the world, which itself makes the firm very unique. But beyond that, sort of, you both work here, you both get out of bed every morning and come to work here. What do you think makes Ashurst unique? In case of you, Sabrene, what made you choose Ashurst? What sort of helps you get out of bed in the morning, I guess I'd say.
Sure. Well, I only did one clerkship, so that made my choice.
I was hoping I was trying to remember if you worked out first. I'm hoping you can compare because I can't really.
So Ashurst was actually my last
Straight
choice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there are people out there that do multiple clerkships. People that only do one, like me. There are people that don't do clerkships, and I think that's something I really want to emphasize as well. It can be really intimidating if you're talking to someone and they've done 5 clerkships or getting better grades than you, or it's like that comparison is the killer of joy thing. And that's not to say that's everyone is working hard, everyone's doing their best, and that's amazing. But if that might not be what you want to do, and I think that's important to remember as well, to kind of do the right path for you. So yeah, I didn't line up a bunch of stuff. I just wanted to kind of have an insight into corporate life, and I thought I would really enjoy it, and my clerkship confirmed that I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that's why I ended up in commercial law and at Ashurst. And as we mentioned as well, the culture here is something that really resonated with me during my clerkship. There's something really special here, and the support you get here. I had really good insight during the clerkship of like what work the firm does, but also I think more importantly how juniors and clerks and grads are mentored here. Like you have support from obviously Kate, from the learning development team, from junior lawyers, senior lawyers, partners. That support comes from all around. So you know that you're going to be looked after.
Yeah. That's a great answer, Sabrene.
10 points.
I know. Yeah, I would say what differentiates us from other firms, is the culture. So I've heard from lawyers who've kind of maybe done their clerkship or grad program elsewhere and have ended up at Ashurst, more the top tier kind of firms. They'll say the work is quite similar across the firms. Really exciting matters, really exciting clients kind of across the board there. But it's just the people at each firm is what creates the culture. So that's the differentiating factor, I think, between the cultures in firms, which I think, like Sabrene mentioned as well, it's just really important for students to get as many clerkships if that's what they want, or internships, or just experiences and exposure to different people from different firms. And then if you can get those clerkships and actual work experience, it'll help you kind of identify your values and what you want from a job. And then I think that's really important to understand going into your clerkship and grad program, to understand, is this the right place for me? It's a really kind of equal experience of we're trying to sell Ashurst, Clerk's trying to sell themselves to us. But I think people need to be also selfish because it's your career. So you need to know what you want. And I think it's hard to know exactly what you want at the start of your career. I think it's somewhat helpful to know what you don't want, and you're only going to know what you don't want through going through different experiences. And then essentially you'll kind of just build up that portfolio idea in your head, and then I think that will really help you navigate kind of that start of your career. And I know this is not the question you asked, but I'm just going down this advice tangent now. But I always tell clerks, and you see it, it's just kind of, it's really important to take that step back and realize it is a quite competitive process, clerkship recruitment, but it's not the end of the world if you don't get the one clerkship you love, or whatever it might be. If you don't get the grad offer that you really wanted, because you'll see here people come in at lawyer 2, 3, more kind of that junior level still, people move around. And you can end up where you want to go. Or you might realize you've actually found your home that you didn't realize that's what you wanted. So it's not the end of the world. Like, it will be okay.
Yeah.
But I know students, it's quite competitive and everyone talks, and I think there's a lot of pressure people put on themselves and from your friends and family that can really build this up in your head, that it's going to be the end of the world if you don't get the one that you want or think you want at that point in time. So
I definitely think that's a thought process, for good or worse, of students. They think, you know, if I don't get a job at one of the top law firms and I'm a failure and I'll never work there ever again, and I'll be stuck doing, I don't know, you know, family law out in the middle of nowhere, and I won't know anyone. And then they don't. Like, students do find their ways into firms, and sometimes they're better for it going the long way around.
Yeah. Or even the students who get all the clerkships they want, they're successful there, they're successful achieving the grad role that they wanted at the firm they love. After the grad program, they might realise this isn't for me. They've ticked all the boxes to then, and then I think there's even that extra pressure then to be like, I can't give up now. It's not giving up, it's just realising what's right for you. And I think throughout your whole career, you always have to have that bit of a reflection on what it is you want, and just don't compare to anyone else. Easier said than done.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
But anyway.
So we've talked about the culture. Now, obviously, you don't look out for an exact mould of student, but in saying that, and I'm trying to put you on the spot here, what would be the type of thing that you would see as that carries in most graduate cohorts? What do you think would be the same factor sort of carries around?
Yeah, that's a tough one. One thing that comes to mind for us, the Brisbane Ashurst office, the grads that we have, I think all have this really strong kind of open mind, willingness to learn. So the teams fully expect our grads to come in and start their career and know absolutely nothing. We expect that we need to provide the training, the learning, the experience, the exposure, all of that. So I think when grads come in kind of with that fresh, open mind and just ready to say yes and ready to give things a go, that's how you're going to learn. Grads are going to make mistakes. You're going to have the right or the wrong answer sometimes. Like, it's just going to happen. But those are the best learning experiences. So I think just that open-mindedness, willingness to learn and work hard, and just kind of know that you'll get there. It's just a process, and that's why there's a grad program there for you in place, and that's okay. I think when grads come in thinking they already know everything, that's probably going to rub some people the wrong way, because you have the support networks around you. You don't need to kind of overcompensate in that way and feel like you need to prove that you know everything already, because you don't. And that's okay.
Do you come in, Sabrene, telling everyone what to do? I'm
kidding.
I'm kidding.
People are around.
They're kind of off that, and I think this is kind of like thing we grads have talked about ourselves. It's, you know, there are people that might come in and be like that, but I think Ashurst is very good at kind of filtering that out, like the people that we attract, and that's a huge credit to Kate as well. The people that, you know, end up as clerks or grads, they're here because they've got the right attitude and everything, and sometimes you can almost feel like the opposite thing. You can think, oh, what am I actually adding to this firm? Like, you know, there's partners here that have been here 30 years, like, how am I going to help them? What am I going to bring to them? But like Kate said, I think just being willing to learn, and, you know, for your own development, and also for the team and the firm and all of that, just having a really good attitude, I think, is so important.
Yeah. And I think just being confident in yourself, like, obviously we're saying come in and expect that you know nothing, that it doesn't make you feel very confident, but be confident in what, like, know your strengths, because that's what you can offer, and that's probably more of the soft skill kind of things, in terms of put yourself out there and just get to know people, build the relationships. That is what you can do. The technical stuff you'll learn, and it just comes with the experience. But you can be a good person, and you can ask someone how their weekend was, or catch up and go for a coffee. Like, those little things mean a lot, especially when you're at a grad level. Just building that network. People really see that, and really appreciate that across the firm, because that is what you can contribute to make this a better place to work.
I think that's quite good to hear for students as well. Like, if your only experience as a commercial firm is watching Suits, which is an awful thing, and it's a cliche, but let's run with it anyway. You would almost think it's it would reward the opposite. Someone who's, for want of a better term, a know-it-all, and comes in But hearing the opposite is probably definitely really great for students.
Well, I think you might clash with partners who think they know everything
Yes.
now. So
There's an issue, but
you
they
can't
do
have a
know
grad
everything.
They do know everything. You can't have a grad just starting their career thinking they know everything because they'll probably be shut down quite
Head
quickly.
clerk. Awesome. Well, Sabrene, so like you said, you were a clerk, now you're a grad. What did does your day-to-day life look like? You know, what's your most common task that you do in a day?
Sure. And I think that really does depend on the team you're in as well. But day to day, like as a clerk or a grad, there's a variety of tasks that you might be called on to assist with. Things like, you know, reviewing like a piece of work, like maybe a legal opinion or a letter or a contract or something. You might also be asked to do some research. You know, often if there's been like some legislative changes, reviewing those, like doing like a memo or a summary for one of the lawyers to do. So lots of tasks around the firm. There'll be plenty to keep anyone busy, I'm sure. But the good thing as well, there's always lots of fun things happening to break up your day, whether, you know, going for coffee with a lawyer or grad or whatever, or morning teas or volunteering, or there's lots of things always happening around the firm, which is really nice too.
Awesome. So what do you think your highlight would be of your time so far here?
That's a tough question. Lots of highlights. From like a work perspective, I think would be, so I haven't been here very long, just a few months, but seeing like something I drafted go to a client, it's a really cool thing to see, going along to some fun client events. But something else that is really special to me and something I really love about this firm is a really strong pro bono practice we have here as well. So doing like pro bono work, and a few weeks ago I went to a law right clinic and met one of our pro bono clients there, and am now working on their matter, and that was just something really special to, you know, help, you know, to feel like you're just doing even like the tiniest bit to help somebody out or somebody to talk to. So I really love the fact that the firm really values pro bono work and giving back as well.
That's awesome. So every firm has a unique clerkship process. They all have their, you know, individual tricks up their sleeve. What's Ashurst, to put it bluntly?
I don't think we try to trick people.
No, maybe not tricks.
An area students can really focus on, I think, when applying for clerkships, and maybe specifically Ashurst, not sure, I think other firms will probably appreciate this, is one thing we really look for is, I like to see, at least at the early application stage, when all you can really contribute and put forward are just words on a paper, on your CV, on your cover letter, whatever it might be. It's really important to spend time on your cover letter and really tailor it to the firm you're applying to. Or it might be in a short answer question or whatever the format is. I think it's good to get across the why you're applying for this job at that firm, not just why you want a clerkship role, but why you want a clerkship role at Ashurst. And I think that's just advice for any job that you ever apply to, not just clerkship recruitment, is, you know, communicating why you want the job. Like, to me, as someone who's reading all the applications, why do you want to work here? It's a pretty basic question, but I think sometimes students can get caught up in just talking about their experience, everything they've accomplished, which is really good, but just, like, you know, 2 sentences on why you actually want to work at the firm that you're applying to, whether it's you've met some people and you've really got along with them, you know the culture, you've had some experience, or read about them in an article, or, you know, whatever it might be.
Listen to a podcast.
Really excelling, I know, here we go. Tell me on a podcast. Listen to me on a podcast. Maybe cut that one.
Yes, get that one out, cut.
Yeah, so I think that's a really helpful kind of tip in standing out in the early days of the application process. Focusing on that cover letter or a short answer question if a firm's not asking for a cover letter might be a really good way to kind of communicate the why.
Just make it easy for you or someone like you to say, oh, that's why they wanted this.
Yeah, well, we get hundreds of applications. I want someone who really wants to be here. I don't want to give the spot away to someone who doesn't really want to be here, whereas there's someone who just is really keen to be at Ashurst and will stay here and work really hard and take advantage of the opportunity. So it's probably that one.
And don't just send out a plain cover letter
No,
to
no
every
copy
firm in
and
Brisbane?
pasting. It happens every year.
Yeah.
I always get a cover letter addressed to the
A different
grad
firm.
recruiter at a different firm, and I know all of their names,
Oh.
so we email and we talk.
Yeah.
So.
Have you heard about this one?
Yeah, I'll know if you address it to Lee Sefton from HSF
exactly.
or whatever it might be.
Send it down.
Yeah, so don't do that, but understanding that like students submit 12, 15 applications probably every year. Like my advice to students is if you want clerkships, apply to all of the ones that look interesting to you and see what happens. Get the experience if that's what you are keen to do. I probably shouldn't be saying that, but it's good advice. Just put yourself out there and see kind of what sticks. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, just make sure it's a tailored application. It's just pretty general kind of application recruitment advice for any role. Yeah.
What about you, Sabrene? You obviously went through the process. How did you find it? Daunting, scary, terrifying? Might be some words come to mind.
It can be a really stressful time, especially if it falls around, assessment or like uni is still happening and stuff. And like I said, there might be people around you applying to lots of places. There might be people applying anywhere. So I think kind of just focus on yourself at that time. Don't kind of worry about what's happening around you and what other people are doing, because Kate said before, that might not be what's right for you. So yeah, like look after yourself during that time. Kate said if you don't get something, that's okay. Everything will be okay in the end. And Kate's talked about some really good points how to kind of nail your application. But yeah, I think talk about your strengths. Talk about interesting things like, did you go on exchange? Did you speak another language? Like all these kind of things that are really unique to you. That will make you stand out.
Yeah, and on that, so that's a good point. I love seeing the little hobby section on CVs, and you can only have to list like one or two or whatever it might be. Like you don't need to be like filling all your free time with all these crazy hobbies just to like impress a recruiter. Genuine hobbies are things you like to do, but I love that because at this point in your career, like I understand that you're at uni full time. You probably have limited time to work, and you probably hang out with your friends. There's probably not too much time to actually get involved in too many other activities, but just listing a couple of hobbies on there that are unique to you makes it more interesting for me just to read these applications. And I love those. That's the most memorable. I'm thinking of applications right now, and those are the most memorable parts of them, in a good way. There's other ones that have been memorable for
different reasons.
but we won't go there.
Yeah, maybe not today. We'll do a second podcast what not to do in a clerkship application. Okay, so someone might be listening to this and thinking of applying for a clerkship at Ashurst. What dates should they keep in mind?
Yep, so we've signed up to the Queensland Law Society guidelines. So applications are open now. They close on Friday the 13th of August. An easy one to remember then. I think. And so all the dates are pretty consistent, so I guess it's just about that application close day is probably the key one to keep in mind. I know most students will probably submit their applications on that last week, and that's totally fine. A question I get from students a lot is, do I check the date someone submitted their application and use that as part of my screening process? And I don't look at any applications until after they've closed. I have other things to do. We have our seasonal clerks with us right now, so focusing more on these current programs, and then we'll get there. But anyway, so Friday the 13th, just get the application in before that date. I won't accept any after that because we've had about 6 weeks now to apply, or by then. And then I'd say another key date is the Griffith Meet the Profession. So come out to that on the 22nd, get to meet some more of our grads. I unfortunately cannot be there.
No.
I know the rescheduled date didn't work, but I've asked someone from the recruitment team to come along who's really familiar with clerkships and grad program and is a recruitment professional, so can definitely help answer any questions about application tips and hints, interview tips and hints, all of those things. So it'll be really, really helpful just to have her there as well. She's super lovely. So definitely come along to that event to meet some more grads, get a better feel for Ashurst. And then, I think those are kind of key upcoming dates.
Yeah.
And offer days, down the track.
All the rest of that,
We have it written down right here. There we go. The 7th of October. So seems like ages away now.
Awesome. And Ashurst does a summer and a winter clerkship?
A summer and a winter.
Yeah.
We ran an autumn intake this year as well. We're probably going to review whether that one will go ahead next year, but for now, definitely the summer one and winter. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both for coming on. It's been fantastic chatting with you, and I'm sure all of our listeners are going to get a lot of value out of this one, so I really do appreciate both of you. And thank you all for listening. I'll see you next time on the Law Student Podcast.
All right. Thank you.